Oh, hold on. Hold on. Hold that moment.
Got to play that role.
This is The Hangout with Matthew Carter, Matt Evans, Roy Shapinski, and Tim Van Claveren.
I almost forgot.
What a waste. It would have been a waste of money if you didn't play it.
All that hard work, like syncing up all the animations and everything would have just gotta wear it out.
It's so
How's everybody
pretty.
how's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Somebody's got a lot of feedback.
Does Matt have a lot of feedback?
No, it's Roy.
Is it positive feedback or is it negative feedback?
And I don't know. It's not positive because it sucks.
Well, is this the first online test of those AirPods Max, Roy?
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, he's gonna restart. Okay.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
All right,
Arrivederci.
we'll have Roy back. Yeah, no, this is the first official show using the, obviously because we weren't on last week.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first official AirPod Max, and I love them. I have to tell you, they were down to like 30%, so I had to charge them real quick before we got it. But yeah, they love it.
Awesome.
I cannot recommend them the most.
I definitely think of the two, I'd prefer that like space gray style. It just kind of like blends in with the environment and like your head and everything.
The only thing is it doesn't match my keyboard and everything, my mouse.
Yeah.
Like that's the only downfall.
Mhm.
Roy has the same keyboard as me, and so he
Yeah.
got the other ones.
Mm.
Also because those were the only ones on sale at that time.
Ah.
But he would have, if he wanted the space gray, he would have had to pay $30 more.
Mm.
I told him, I said, either way you want them, it's worth it. But I actually really like them, so
Yeah.
I don't really care about that. I do like having all my mouse and keyboard and trackpad all the same color, at least because they all sit right next to each other. So
Especially since you just bought that gray mouse, if I'm not mistaken. You bought that new Logitech like gray
well,
white.
I bought it. Yeah, I bought it because I had the old MX Master key with the 10 key, and that was black. But then when I got the new keyboard, the Mac version only came in white, which is what I wanted. So I had to replace this. But it's not like it went to bad use because my wife still uses the old MX Master keys, and she has the MX Master mouse.
Sure.
So it's all. And then she had the older version, which was the 2S, and I sold that to Roy. So everything's getting recycled. So
that's awesome.
It's not bad at all. So, but sounds really good. Sounds really quality. So, yeah.
When's Tim going to get on the AirPods Max?
I don't know. We've been working on it. Roy and I have been trying to convince him.
Yeah, because everything else has been so good. It sounds like it's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to get him to sell us Sony headphones and move into the AirPod Max.
Because like Roy doesn't normally make purchases like that, but like he got them quick.
Yeah, he did. He got a bonus. So the thing is, we both got a bonus, and that's how we kind of justified it.
Sure. Still, could have been anything. Could have been an Oculus, could have been some other laptop or accessory or something like that. But he went with the AirPods Max.
So it's kind of interesting. So I got mine on Friday. Friday a week ago.
The myth of
still there, Roy.
Let me mess with some of my settings.
And now your voice isn't synced with everything. I'm gonna mute you real quick. Okay, so anyway, so I got him on Friday of like a week ago. The Friday before last Monday, so a little over a week. But I got massively sick over the weekend, like extremely sick,
Yeah,
and
the Max
so
flu. Gotcha.
yeah, it was bad. But anyway, so I got them Friday, but I wasn't able to use them on Saturday or Sunday, just because I was so sick. Like, it was like
sucks.
it was painful, and then Monday rolled around. I started feeling better, and so I started using them more Monday and Tuesday. But it was pretty painful. So.
Still there?
Yeah, and your voice is not matched up.
I don't know. I mean, I have full green bars. I did a speed test. Everything is running as smoothly as can be on my side, as far as I can tell.
Are you using which? Maybe you should switch back to your other headphones. Maybe that's maybe the AirPod Max don't work for you.
Uh-oh.
Maybe your AirPod Max are defective.
Why
They're too
would
maxed
that?
out.
Why would that be the issue?
Too maxed
I don't
out.
know.
Too
It does
advanced.
sound a little better right now. So, oh no, there it is. I hear it.
Is there any software that you install to PCs or MacBooks to have that work a little bit, to just be a little bit more compatible or something? As a PC and Android user, sometimes we get extended software to make sure there's like a blanket compatibility.
We don't have that issue, but
Yeah,
it's honestly when there's silence. So I'm wondering if it's part of his. I don't hear it now. Are you muted, Roy?
Yeah, I was muted.
Oh, I was like, that was perfect.
Things like I said, I don't know what.
So
what
go
I
to
could
your
be.
go to your control panel and go to your sound. What is your sound setting? Are your
Inside Restream?
Actually, yeah, go to the gear icon, click on audio, and what is your audio input at?
Audio input is my Yeti microphone.
And do you have echo cancellation and noise suppression on?
Echo, noise suppression, high resolution audio, auto gain control is all on.
Try turning off echo. That sounds a lot better. Does it sound better for you guys?
I can't hear him talking. Talk a little bit.
I could never hear the difference.
Oh, well, then maybe the problem is Matt then.
So you sound good, but now you're like way out of sync.
I am?
Oh.
God dang it.
Yeah. Like your audio quality, I don't hear any like the grain in the background or anything.
But that was like that before, so I don't think, but we can live with that.
You guys
are
slightly out of sync.
Yeah, he said so. I think it's something with his internet.
What
browser are you using?
I'm using Chrome.
What were you going to say, Tim?
I was going to say Roy is perfectly fine on my end. His video's just a little choppy, but he sounds perfectly fine to me. So,
yeah, he does sound better now.
But we always have something with Restream for whatever
it
reason.
is.
Maybe it's Restream. Maybe it's Restream.
Well, but it's only happening to
us,
you,
Joseph.
Every time.
Joseph, we need you right now.
Save us.
Oh my God. If it isn't one thing, it is another. You're right. It is.
So I think we can go with this. It's not too bad. You'll come through fine auditorially. It'll just look kind of choppy on the podcast. Not that big of a deal. We can hear your beautiful voice.
I don't know about beautiful, but
whoa.
Ouch.
It's got a fantastic voice. What are you talking about?
Just kidding.
I just want to. I don't know. I don't want to do that.
Whoa, is that actually Roy? Where is that coming from? Oh Roy, my gosh.
It's all good. It's all good.
No, I want that screen back. That screen was legit. Holy crap!
That was like a horror movie.
It
like
was.
you just pop. You're watching TV and there's a camera angle of you.
That's his
okay?
that's his Mac webcam.
Yeah, that's the Mac webcam.
Oh man.
It would have been better if it was like from outside his window and it just like.
That's his 720. That's his 720p.
Halloween
HD
stream
webcam.
2022. That's what we'll use. My God.
Oh my goodness. I should make sure we're live on Twitter and everything because
That sounds important.
I got the tweet. I'm almost positive.
all right. Well, let me make sure. Maybe we'll have to. I don't know. Hopefully, Joseph will be back next weekend, and we'll be good.
I also hope he enjoys his time off and is not worried about us.
Oh yeah, it's working. Okay, so we're live.
Ooh.
Good.
I'm going to blame
Okay.
this whole thing on Restream.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
I bet if we went back and watched
Hey.
all the Restream podcasts, we would see a pattern where there's some Restream issue or something like this going on. So for sure.
Yeah. Or we could blame it on Comcast.
Comcast does suck, and it's probably their fault in some, probably not even that roundabout way. Like maybe Restream is hosted on like Spectrum or some kind of shady Comcast back alley deal or something. Would not surprise me.
Someone at Comcast has been watching our podcast and they're just finally fed up with it.
Roy
Probably.
looks out his window and there's a Comcast van and it quickly speeds off because they have some kind of radiation technology to ruin the Wi-Fi.
So I
Someone
have
just
to.
spinning knobs.
I have to admit something. Are you ready for this?
I don't
You're
think you've
switching
ever
away from
admitted
iOS forever.
anything on
No.
the podcast before. I'm very
So
curious.
Comcast is coming out to visit me on Wednesday.
Why?
So
Because you're having such crappy connections?
yeah, I was in my office today and I was trying to surf. I was trying to look something up on the web for part of my coding that I was working on, and I'm like, this is taking forever. Why is this website not working? I'm like, and so I shut everything down. I reopen it back up. I go back to the website. It's not fucking working. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this shit? Like, why is this? Actually, let me put up the Comcast sucks.
There you go.
So anyways, so I'm like, why is this not working? So I'm going to, I decided to go to Yahoo and go to a couple other websites. Same thing. It's taking a million years to load. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is beyond stupid. So I disconnected from the Xfinity router and I connected to the Amazon Echo router that we have. Works just fine. I'm getting speeds of 100 and something. On the Comcast router, I wasn't even breaking 5 megabytes for an upload and like 10 megabytes for a download. Like,
Jesus.
I was like, what the hell? And so I'm talking to the Xfinity guy through the app and I'm like, this is crap. Like, why is this, like, you want me to use your shit, but your shit doesn't work.
Did they offer you like
the
next generation of Comcast router?
They did. So I have the Xfinity X1 gateway or some shit. And I'm like,
gotta get that X2.
So I'm like,
Comcast United, let's go.
What the hell? Like, and I told him, I said, the only reason we moved away from our own modem and our own router is so that we got rid of these goddamn data caps that you have, that you just blindside your customers and suck every penny out of them, you know? And so anyways, so finally he's like, okay, well, I need you to restart your router. And I said, dude, I've already done that 3 different times today. That's not the issue. I'm like, and he's like, okay, well, please do it one more time. And I'm like, no, my wife is in the other room working right now. I'm like, I'm not interrupting her work anymore. And so he's like, okay, well, and then he sends me some self-support site and I'm like, so what, you're done with me? You're not going to help me anymore? And he goes, no. He goes, and then I finally said, can you just send a tech out? Because I'm tired of trying this shit. Like, it doesn't fucking work. Like, so anyways, finally he scheduled an appointment for Wednesday. So
after all that,
yeah. So I'm actually on my backup Wi-Fi right now. So
you're using what you were using before?
Yeah, and it's plugged into the Xfinity router.
Oh my
or
goodness.
modem, router combo modem, whatever.
Yeah, just you're actually using it as the modem and using your router as the router. Good combos.
But I'm like, if you're telling me I got to use this shit, it should fucking work.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's my Comcast rant. Does anybody else have something they want to rant about Comcast on?
I've got nothing to say about Comcast. My service has been great. Also, because I know what I'm doing with my router.
Hey, Comcast, reach out to me. I'll tell you where Tim lives. I'll tell you where Tim lives, and you can knock his shit down. Like,
I would love to hear from anyone out there who has had Comcast issues, or if their service works fine and you've gotten really good customer service. I haven't. I've had problems with Comcast before. I mean, that's how this whole thing started, because they suck. But I'm just curious, who, and we all hear how terrible Comcast is, but I mean, Roy or Tim, have you guys talked to anyone? Because Matt, you probably talked to a bunch of people who are in and out of Comcast situations all the time because of your work. But I'm curious if Roy or Tim talked to people who Comcast has sucked for.
Yeah, I know someone that I have a friend who has Comcast or had Comcast. He now doesn't have internet. He hated it entirely, and he was always every time I went over, he was always on the phone with Comcast, and then he was just they would ask him a question. He's like, I don't know, this is your stuff, fix it. And just wasn't really helpful as a customer. And I was like, first of all, they're trying their best to help you. And then he was very much just harassing this tier 1 support tech.
So he was getting terrible support because he was being terrible to the support.
Yes. So I can't really take his whatever his opinion into account. Okay. I've contacted many different, or one other ISP, and it has been awful. Every time I had to contact Frontier, it's been just a nightmare and awful in every possible way. And every time I call Comcast, yes, it's pretty bad. It's just phone scripts, but I mean,
I think Comcast is coming for Tim. Do you guys hear that crackling noise?
When he talks, yeah.
Wait, yeah. Tim was talking? I thought he stopped.
He was crackling when his...
That's my noise filter, probably. That's probably Bruce you're hearing breaking through the microphone. But
it's like every couple words you crackle.
Yeah.
And your voice cuts out.
I'm also hearing a little bit of buzzing when you stop talking too.
Yeah.
And I think that happened.
Windows.
But that happened when you started using the NVIDIA voice filter thing.
The reason I have a, people that don't know, I have a voice filter on right now as I'm talking, which is how you shouldn't be able to hear me clapping right now. Or if I start punching the desk, you shouldn't be able to hear me or hear the punching of the desk. The reason I have a noise filter on is because I have Bruce, and apparently if I turn the filter off, it makes my ears bleed. So I leave the filter on, so I can continue to use Bruce.
This is unusable. This podcast sucks already.
Also, to be fair, maybe it would sound better if Joseph was here, because maybe Restream is doing some extra processing on top of the processing that Tim's already done.
Joseph has a full soundboard, and he has his headphones on. He's mixing all of our voices to make it sound like crystal glass, while Restream is just shitting in a tube.
Oh my god, this is horrible.
I'm glad that it's not just me that's having problems.
We're gonna have to figure if Joseph's not back next week. We're gonna have to figure out something else because this podcast sucks today so far.
This isn't as. This is not as bad as.
Talked about Comcast.
This is not as bad as the one that we had. Remember,
we lost
over
the OnePlus 9T where it kept losing everybody?
Yeah, and in the intro lasted 5 minutes. The intro took 5 minutes to play. And that was the first one we were on iHeartRadio, and the last one we were on iHeartRadio.
I remember that, Roy. We were still using Restream, and Joe was helping us manage to re-steer in part of things, but we lost Roy halfway through it. Roy came back, and then we lost Tim and Matt, and then we got one of them back, and then we lost them again, and finally it was just me for a long time, and then it was one of the worst podcasts.
It was unbelievably gross.
There was the one that Matt Carter was gone and Matt Evans hosted, and then Tim and I kept popping in and out, and we managed to. Then Matt fell out at one point, and Tim and I kept it going.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, we've had some pretty bad experiences of it, but we've gotten through it.
There was the one of Evans was not there, and we all just opened the podcast by taking shots of alcohol.
I don't know why that didn't become a regular thing. Very confused.
I put a motion forward to start each hangout with a shot of something.
All right. I
second
that
next
motion.
Week? Okay, next week.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Woo.
I want to do a second motion on top of that. Different, separate. So I know that we're all clearly working from home right now. Just want to say when we transition to office work, we should do an ISP tier list where we rank as many internet service providers as we possibly can, and then just blast on social media the ones that fail, which would be Comcast.
There's 2 ISPs. That's a really short list.
Depends on where. No, that's not true. If our office winds up being downtown Seattle, there's literally 50 or something. Not 50, but there's actually probably 8 that we'd have to choose from, which would include Comcast.
I do the whole influencer thing on Instagram. I have a list of sponsors and people that I want to work with, and stuff like that, and people that I'm communicating with. And there's a blacklist of places, people that I refuse to work with, and one of them is Comcast. Unless you want me to sit there and talk about how Comcast sucks, which is what I do right now, then I will do it. I will never take a penny from Comcast to do any, work for them at all. But I was there's just so I just made a list of the companies that I don't want to ever do anything for. So
you mean even if they offered you the latest iPhone 14 Pro Max Plus with free voice and data service?
Nope. We could even save money by moving to Xfinity Mobile.
Yeah.
We would save, I think they said we'd save $30 a month or something like that. And I'm no, not worth it. No. I mean, we already have terrible internet at home. I don't need that shit when I'm out.
On the go. Broken phone calls and data you can't get, broken streams. Yeah.
So, anyways, I traded in my iPhone 12 Pro. Finally, all done, paid off. Everything's good.
Nice.
Proud of that.
Congrats.
Me and Zoe officially booked our tickets and flights to Disneyland.
Congratulations.
So does that mean you're going to have an SE before you go?
That's the plan. I'm hoping to get an SE so I can properly track my steps, and then also have the our Disney passes on our watches so that we can tap our ways around. And then also I'm gonna gonna gain a lot of weight. We're gonna eat so much crappy food. It's gonna be great.
Are you gonna ask her to marry you again?
Oh, we actually were talking about if we see if we can get an upgraded flight by telling them it's our honeymoon, or
They won't. They won't
present the marriage license.
They'll give you a free drink. They'll give you a free drink. That's about all.
Hey, free is free right there. Take what you can get.
Also, it was nice. It was nice because I did not know this, but on flights, they're still blocking the middle row seats on flights. So on our flight,
not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay.
Yeah, it really depends on the airline. But like Matt's saying, I don't know that they do that anymore.
There's like, if you do get it, you're lucky right now.
Yeah. Our flight, we have it because I was able to select our seats, and it's only 2 seats per row.
What airline?
American Airlines. We'll see if the flight gets canceled last minute as we get there. We'll find out.
Probably.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's blow this show and let's get on with the. Unless anybody else have anything they want to add.
No.
Let's try this intro.
Oh, it's not going to work. Oh no.
It's gonna be so laggy for me.
Android and iPhone users, welcome. BlackBerry and Windows Phone users, these phones don't even support podcasting, bro. The podcast going beyond the headlines. This is the Gooplycast. Here's your host, Matthew Carter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gooplycast. We're live right now on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. If you can't make our live show, grab our audio-only version. You can find it on all of your favorite Android and iOS podcasting apps, as well as Facebook podcasts. I am your host, Matthew Carter. Joining us tonight is Blue Squadron. We have Blue Leader, Matt Evans. Good to see you, Matt.
Hello, everybody.
We also have Blue 2, Roy Shapinski. Hey, Roy.
So everything was in sync until we went back into the 4 squares. Everything worked perfectly.
Well, that's just because there was one person on the screen. Like,
yeah,
I was really excited. But good evening.
That's curious. We'll get back to that later. Blue 3, we have Tim Van Claveren. Nice to see you, Tim.
And standing strong in the left-hand quarter is Matthew Carter.
Dude, I'm red leader up here. It's fantastic.
Red leader.
Green leader.
It's blue.
Green
leader.
Be blue.
Green leader. Wouldn't it be blue leader?
No, you guys are
blue
leader.
squadron.
You see this?
We're the blue.
You see this? All this red leader. Come on, what are you talking about? There's no green leader in Star Wars. What are you talking about?
Sounds like a dictatorship.
Yeah.
What? There's
red leader.
Oh, red leader. What in the world are we talking about tonight? Oh yeah, we're talking about Google user choice billing, the opposite of a dictatorship, and Apple iPhone subscription service, which sounds exactly like a dictatorship. Tonight, Joseph Meacham is not directing. We hope he's having fun out there. And
if you couldn't tell already, if you were listening to before the show, then you absolutely know that this is a non-professional podcast today.
Right. We have no Joseph saving us from ourselves and Restream.
And Comcast.
Oh gosh. So yeah, I'm actually super curious, like what is going on with this Google user choice billing. Does anybody want to explain what Google is offering?
I mean, it's still in its pilot stages, but
yeah,
the idea is they've buddied up with Spotify. Spotify's the only confirmed one that's doing this, but instead of only being able to subscriber pay through the Google Play Store, there is now a third-party payment option that they will allow into their app. So in other words, you can pay Spotify directly versus paying through the Play Store. Exactly everything that Epic Games wanted when they started complaining about everything. But Epic Games has come out since then and said this is not good enough. This is not good enough.
Yeah, they said they're not satisfied with Google's App Store billing stunt.
What more do they want? Because like,
trying to read. So Epic is not part of the. So a spokesperson for Epic said they are not part of the pilot. She told them that they did not share whether Epic rejected an offer or simply was not asked to participate. Basically,
I'm willing to bet the latter.
Yeah, that's what I'm just guessing is that Spotify, Epic didn't sue. Or Spotify didn't sue. They just came out publicly against it in the past for both Apple and Google. But they've tried to be a good, friend and mutual friend, or they've been on good terms. I'm putting it that way. So I'm sure that Google reached out to them and is testing this pilot program.
Okay, so they're a friend,
whatever that means.
And they're friendly to both Google and Apple, and whereas Epic is a little bit more obviously incendiary and maybe would draw some negative press if maybe Google decided to go with them. Like, why go with Spotify first over Epic, who clearly wants to be part of this new wave of user choice billing?
I think because Spotify didn't sue and it's still a big enough user base to really pilot test this and see what happens. I mean, we all know what's going to happen, but it's my theory.
What do you mean we all know what's going to happen?
I mean, so let me back up a little bit. If does Spotify have cheaper plans if you subscribe outside of the Google Play Store, if you go direct to their website? Because if the cost is the same as the Google Play Store as it would be for Spotify directly, nobody's going to care who they bill through. I mean, people are only really going to care if they could save a buck, off their subscription. So either they're going to save a buck and go straight for the Spotify subscription, or they don't save a buck and they're going to go with whatever is convenient, and that's probably going to be the Google Play Store option. So based on how Spotify lays out their subscriptions, it's easy to tell exactly which direction this is going to go. And I think that there's a good chance that Google, I don't want to say what I'm going to say because I'm not sure enough in that statement.
Fair enough. Plus, like, Spotify has the user base. It stretches across both Android and iOS, and it's also it's also a partner that Google can have that maybe applies some pressure to Apple, because Spotify has been public about how they have to compete with Apple and their music service. They're like first party music service, right? Like, I think they think that it's unfair that they have to compete against apps that are installed on phones and against a company that is not only so tied in with the music industry, but also making money off of another competing audio app or another competing music streaming app. So I think of all the people that they could have picked that are both like public and friendly, Spotify seems like a good choice. But I'm surprised that they just did one. I wonder why they wouldn't just like either start with a lot of big names and like kind of figure that out, or start slow and then roll their way up. They just went with like the big dog right away, and that seems kind of confusing.
Well, because they can call it a pilot program if they don't throw a bunch of companies in there. You throw a bunch of companies in there, and then you're going to get companies that are upset as to why they didn't get invited to the pilot program or why they're not a part of it to begin with. So if they just chose Spotify, then it can be like, hey, we're trying something. Please, courts, don't slap us with some sort of antitrust and make us do what you're making Apple do. We're trying something on our own. We're testing the waters. I think it's kind of a way for them to bypass some legality issues at the current moment too.
Well, and there's regulation. So, some of I think it was South Korea. I want to say South Korea or the Netherlands. Oh, here it is. So Apple has also said that it plans to let dating apps in the Netherlands use alternative payment systems to comply with a ruling from Dutch regulators. Apple has repeatedly not been satisfying with the order. So it sounds like Apple hasn't been, but they're gonna do it. So this is probably more or less why. Yeah, so it's unclear if Apple is gonna add outside payment systems in South Korea, but it sounds like Google is doing that for South Korea and the Netherlands right now. So they're testing the waters, I'm assuming. So there'll probably be, I'm assuming there will probably be some more, but Spotify is probably the first one that they're starting with. But I would anticipate that some of the other ones in these South Korea or the Netherlands are going to pick up as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, I like the App Store because I like to have my payment secured and not have, data breaches and everything else like that. And I like to be able to get my money back if I feel like I was scammed in some way or not. And if you put in outside payment systems, and I go back to this, and I've talked about this before, I think on the podcast, but there used to be an app on the App Store. It was like $99 or something like that.
$9,999 and like 99 cents or something.
Yeah, it was $1,000. I think it was the max that you could sell on the App Store. And it literally was, the title was, "This app does nothing." And it absolutely, like, once you hit the download button, it charged you $1,000. Like, and 8 people downloaded that app. Like,
heroes.
Just wasted $1,000. But if you had a third-party payment system, you wouldn't get that money back.
That's not necessarily true.
No, well, I mean, it would be a lot harder. I mean,
Maybe.
Apple looked at the app. Apple probably looked at the app and said, "Hey, this shouldn't have been through," and basically cut it out. So, so I mean.
And that was in early days of like App Store, where they might not have been really thinking through the ramifications of allowing apps like that on the App Store.
Yeah, and there's been a couple other ones that have made it through that couldn't have gotten, or that shouldn't have gotten through, and Apple's confessed that and come out and said that, sorry, this didn't meet our standards, it shouldn't have been approved, pulled the app, gave everybody their money back that paid for it, if they did pay anything for it, but that's just kind of the way it is. But I feel like that's a little harder. I mean, you could do it with credit cards and debit cards and stuff like that, but then you have to go to the bank. You have to file the dispute with them. You have to wait for the other people to reply. Usually they give you an upfront credit, but you're still spanning that out. When you message Apple and you say, "Hey, I feel like I was scammed or I was duped. Can I get my money back? This is what happened." And they go, "Sure, here you go. Here's your money back." I literally have only got asked for my money back like once or twice. And it was basically, I think, because the app didn't work. Said it worked. There was a lot of bugs and everything and stuff like that. And, I specified in there, I'm like, the app just crashes like literally the second I open it. I can't even use it, and they apologized, said they reported it through their escalation task, and they, add my money back. And then I think the app was pulled. Can't remember what the app was, but I think it was pulled later on. So I just don't think you'll get that with third-party billing systems,
Would it be possible to have some kind of combination between the app platform and a third-party billing system to ensure that they can get that customers can get the kind of returns that you're talking about?
I don't see how that would happen. Like, I mean, once you go with an outside billing system, like, I mean, yeah, you wouldn't. And there's no way to remove the app. I mean, you could report it to them, but you still have to. So let's say you have an issue with an app. Let's say that $1,000 app got posted and is using a third-party billing system. Okay, you just file a dispute with your credit card company. You're waiting for the money to come back, stuff like that, or waiting for the dispute to be resolved. And then, let's say that still doesn't get reported to Apple, so you still have to open up a claim with Apple and say, "Hey, these people are taking your money. They're fraudulently, trying to do it." And I mean, I worry about that being on the Android system because there's a lot of places on the Android store is pretty much unmonitored. You don't go through the thorough testing that Apple does. So I worry about that with Android phones and people, out there saying, "Oh, like trying to scam people out of their money," and Google not catching on to it. So that's kind of what I'm afraid of happening with this third-party billing system. I wish that Google would just come to terms with it and, lower their processing fee and lowering their third-party fees for it, and just get along with everybody,
That way the conversation about should iOS and Android be open platforms, not just for payment processors, but maybe for everything, for Apple having third-party app stores, for Android not competing so hard against third-party app stores, stuff like that. Because you want complete privacy from Apple for as long as you can get it, it sounds like.
The real question I have is Apple going to use Apple Pay on Android for Apple Music?
No, they don't. On Android?
Yeah.
No.
Since it now allows
Apple Pay only works on iPhones.
But what if they added it?
They would have to build it into the software. They'd have to build it into the Apple software or the Google software.
Or Apple they could make it mobile in some capacity. I don't know if that's possible given the way that they currently tie it with the system, but there are things like Visa Checkout and Amazon Pay and other third-party payment solutions that are mobile, quote unquote.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do have web-based. I mean, you can pay in the web-based browser with Apple Pay, so there is that ability. But the card has to be stored in your device, and if you have a Android device, it's not going to store your card in there. You'd still have to sign in with an Apple ID, and I think that would be less secure because then you're using an Apple ID. Like the whole thing about Apple Pay is authenticating who you are. And if who you are, then you authenticate with your thumbprint or your face
or your password.
Or your password.
Yeah, but your card is not stored anywhere else other than your device. So you couldn't do Apple Pay on an Android device because it's not saved anywhere but on your phone. It's not in a cloud. And that's part of why Apple Pay is a secure form of payment, is that it's on your device only. In fact, when it actually sends off the payment stuff, it's not even sending off your card information. It's sending off this other randomly generated information. That's tied to your card as like a one-time use token so that your information can't get stolen and reused by somebody.
Which ultimately creates a 100% secured system where your card number never leaves your phone. And then your card number is encrypted in your phone. So even if you got into somebody's phone, you couldn't see the full card number. It only shows you the last 4 digits of the card number. And then like Roy said, like even if you pay for something, so let's say I go to the store, I use my Apple Pay at the store, the last 4 digits of the card on the receipt are not going to match my physical card because that's a token that the retailer receives. And that token is only available at that retailer for that price. Once that's over with, that token is disbanded and can't be used again.
Like a momentary virtual card that's just authorized for that one transaction at that one time.
Like a 2-factor authentication.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Authenticator token.
Yeah. And it's only for that amount. Like you can't go over, like if the retailer tried to process it for a different amount, like that card wouldn't take it because it's only authorized for that amount. Unless you have like tip options and stuff like that, then there is.
Do you guys see any market for secure payment systems like Samsung Pay or Apple Pay or Google Pay being available on their non-native devices? Like,
I don't think so. I mean, if I had a Google device, I would just use Google Pay. You know, I would consider Google Pay just in the same line as Apple Pay.
The difference with Google Pay though is you can also upload your card to the cloud, and you can use it in there. There's two options for Google Pay, and one of them is uploading and storing your card number in the cloud, and then the other option is just putting it in your phone just for NFT or just for contactless pay, and that's pretty much what you'd use it for. If you could still put it in there and use it in the cloud, but that would be for your purchases and stuff like that. Now, when I put my card number in for the App Store, it verifies my card and uses it at Apple Pay in the App Store, as long as the card is in my Apple Wallet. Now, I can use that card outside of my Apple Wallet, but if that card is inside my wallet, it's going to get a token from Apple, I'm assuming, that does it, because it says that it's linked to the card number is linked to my Apple Wallet when I go into there. So that's just my assumption. Nobody truly knows how it really works, but Apple probably, but that's fine with me because that's the way it should be, being a secure platform, and stuff like that. It's just, it's funny though, because I just like, I listen to some people, I watch some people on YouTube and stuff like that, especially during the Pixel 6 reviews and stuff like that. And a lot of people said, oh, Android is so much better than Apple. The privacy is so much better. And I'm like, dude, do you know, like, are you on crack or something right now? Like, do you know the crap that's on the Android store? And I just feel like with third-party billing, it's just going to get worse.
Have these people never heard of Google?
And that's the other thing too. Like Google is like, is tracking you everywhere you go. Like, and that comes to it too, because like, I host my email through Google. I've always been a fan of Google for email because they have the best platform. But with everything coming out, like, how do I know, even though I'm paying for my email account, I'm not using no free email account, how do I know they're not tracking me and everything else? Like, I'm really getting kind of worried about it. And I've been tempted to switch back to iCloud because it just feels like, it just feels like I don't know. Like, I'm really scared of what Google collects on me. I went so far as even pulling out my SIM card from my Android phone and I put it back in my iPhone because I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's not that I have anything to hide, but there's just so many articles recently about Google tracking you and data and everything else and lawsuits by attorney generals. And I'm just like,
Yeah, it's not so much that Google's tracking me and I have something to hide. It's that they're tracking you without you knowing that they're tracking you. Like, if I use Google Maps, I know they're tagging my location everywhere I go. I'm not stupid. But if I turn off location settings on my phone and Android is still tracking me because Google wants that data, then that's what's messed up. That's what bugs me the most.
And it's also like, that they're going to be tracking you in specific apps, but like, where are they tracking you where they haven't been explicit about it or where it isn't obvious?
Well, and that's what I wonder. That's what I wonder with my email. Like, are they really truly not reading my email because I, pay $6 a month for, an email account?
How do you know?
Or are they? I don't know. That's what I'm worried about. I feel, and Apple has launched iCloud Mail with custom domains, and so I've been trying it out. Like, I tried it out initially, and I had some concerns with it because just the way it operated with domains and stuff like that, it just wasn't so user friendly. But they've made a bunch of changes to it. it fixed some bugs in it and stuff like that. And so I've been trying it out for the past week, and then I'm hoping that eventually I'll be able to ditch it, because I'm just like, I'm afraid at what Google could track on me, because I use Google Calendar and everything and stuff like that. And it's like, I put in addresses for, where I go and stuff like that for appointments. And does Google know that? Like, I don't know. So,
I'm
yeah.
sure that if they don't get it from your calendar, then they might get it from someone else's calendar that you're connecting with, or from someone else's maps that they might meet up in your location or something like that. And Google will know. And the websites that you go to, if they have Google ads, the Google ads might be tracking you as part of some kind of software that's embedded in them. And then they're stitching all of this information together to sell you more product right now, but who knows what they're
there
going
was
to do
an
with
article. There was an article, Roy, that you shared, wasn't there, about Google Messages tracking you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was a recent thing. Google Messages was tracking without the explicit consent of the user. I mean, this was after, this was like a month or so after the one where the attorney generals were suing Google over tracking location data after location services had been shut off. So it's just more and more is coming to light about what Google is tracking you without telling you that they're tracking you. And once again, it's not a matter of whether Google's tracking me, whether I have anything to care. It's whether I have anything to hide. It's whether or not they've told me that they're tracking me. I make a decision all the time whether or not I want to opt in or opt out of location services or have diagnostic data sent off to developers for this, that, and the other thing. But that's an informed decision that I should be able to make as a user, and I should be able to turn on or off.
And since those data points that they're tracking about you are essentially what you're paying to utilize the app, I feel like, do you guys feel like they should always be asking what they can or cannot track from you right up front? Like, have we gotten to the point where they should no longer be tracking anything in the background, and they should just, or they should be as explicit as possible?
They should be very upfront about it, just like Apple is. Like, Apple is very clear at how they share their data. I will say there has been some issues with it. For example, Siri, they were recording little clippets. I think it was like 6 seconds of how you say something, and they were sending that to developers, and they weren't, I guess they didn't share that they were sending that to developers, but they came out and they said, sorry, we didn't do it. It didn't pass our internal inspections or whatever. And they came out and apologized for it. And they said, yes, we're giving you an option to opt out. So now when you use Siri, or you set up with Siri, you are asked a question if you want to share those audio clips with developers so that they can help make Siri better. And that's exactly what they should be doing. That's exactly what they should have done in the beginning. They didn't do it, but they did come out and say, sorry, we didn't do this. We should have done this. But we'll do better in the future. No company is going to be great. No company is going to be perfect, and that includes Apple. But I trust my data more with Apple than I do with Facebook or Google or some of these other free services, because what free gets you is they've got to make money off of you somehow. And that's what they're doing.
Well, it's like I said, when you use these free services, they're not free. You're the commodity that they're selling to these ad companies. They're harvesting every little bit of data they can and build whatever profile they can off of you to use to make themselves money. Nobody does anything for free. Not in a capitalist world. Not as a business. You do everything with the intent of a kickback. Heck, businesses don't even donate to charity out of the kindness of their own heart. They do it for the tax write-off. Every time you go to the checkout and they're like, do you want to round up for, bone cancer awareness? They're not doing that because they want to help bone cancer awareness. Every little bit that you donate to them, they donate to the research or whatever, and then they get that as a tax write-off. they're using your money as a tax write-off. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their own heart. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that what they're doing is helping, peoples and organizations and research and whatnot, but it's not like they're doing it out of the kindness of their own heart. There is an alternative motive, and that is the whole purpose of Facebook being free and Twitter being free and Instagram and Gmail and so on, is that there's something that they have to gain out of it. They have a business model, and you are what they sell. And every time that we opt out, they lose money because they can't build as accurate as a profile. I mean, how much did Facebook say that it was losing because of Apple's non-tracking across apps thing? Like millions of dollars in the first year, millions of dollars.
Yep.
But they've since made up for it. Like I read an article the other day that Facebook has made up and is not losing as much money as they predicted they were going to move. So,
well, I don't think they were ever in any trouble, regardless.
They weren't, and it just took them a time to figure a workaround. I'm sure they came up with some workaround, and I'm sure they're not going to disclose what their workaround is because they don't want to know. They don't want people to know what their workaround is so that it gets blocked. But like Roy said, like nothing is free, and it's hard to learn that when you're young and stuff like that. But like people don't, and all these young people come out, and be like, oh, Google's so much better because it's free, it's better, it's cheaper. No, they're tracking your shit and you just don't know about it. Like, it's stuff like that. So I mean, and Apple, is probably not alone there, but they're not harvesting your data. And I think that's what makes them different from your thing. If they do harvest your data, it's stored in your phone and you can delete it when you want to. They don't have a record where you can go down and download all your data they have on you, because all your data is stored in your devices. So they may keep track of that for certain reasons. They may keep track of some of the data, but you own the data because you pay a hefty price when you are in the Apple ecosystem. We can all admit to that. But your data is stored in your phone. It's not stored in the cloud where you go and download a profile for you and it's got miles long data. There's no ads on iCloud, no ads in Google Maps.
And I think one of the major differences is that Apple's tracking pretty much stops once you leave their hardware. Whereas, like, what browser are all of you guys using?
It depends on my device.
Okay. Yeah, it depends. I do use Chrome because Chrome has better developer tools in Apple than they do in Safari. On my phone, I use Safari. I don't use there, but on the Mac, I do use Chrome, just because some websites load better and they have the better development tools. But outside of that, and the one reason that I use Safari, and because I did use Chrome for a long time, but Apple Pay is not available in Chrome on the iPhone. So by using it, I can use Apple Pay in the web browser and pay for things with my face instead of having to, go and find my credit card number. So, and that's one of the things that I hate about. That's one of the things I hate about Instagram, because I'll find something on Instagram, or something like that I want to buy, and I'll link it to it, and then I'll start going through all the shopping cart thing, and then I'll be like, shit, I'm still in Instagram, which doesn't work with Apple Pay, so I have to then open up into a Chrome or into a Safari browser, and then go through the whole checkout process again and put all the things in the shopping cart and then pay for it in there. So I wish that there was more ability to do that, where you could use that instead of an in-app browser, but
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Because then you can't use Apple Pay, but they're diverting using the Apple payment system by launching into their own internal Instagram browser so that they don't have to pay like the 30% in-app fee or something like that.
Well, no,
because it's not rooting out to
no,
Safari,
it's
right?
not necessary for that. Like it's mostly shopping things. Like you know, the Instagram thing. One thing I look at a lot is tech products and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know, and I'll look through Instagram. I'll see a picture of somebody. They'll have a link in their profile to a product or something, and then it'll link me to the website outside of there. So it's not necessarily an Instagram product or a product within the app. It's a product or a service that I found, you know.
But if it links you out to some other site, why doesn't it link you into Safari?
Because they're using what's called an in-app browser.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using their own browser inside of the built-in app. You can't do it for subscription. So Safari can't, or excuse me, Spotify can't build an app inside of, or an in-app purchase inside of the in-app browser. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they can't do that for subscriptions. But if you're browsing something on Instagram, they have a link to a product on a web page for their product. You can then click on that, takes you to, but it goes to the in-app browser, and then you have to default and then open in Chrome or open in Safari in order to use the Apple Pay. But that's kind of a long. So, but I guess that's a good thing to transition to our next topic, which was Apple is reportedly considering an iPhone subscription service, which I think Roy was the first one to break that, weren't you?
Yeah, I shared that on the channel. I mean, essentially, they already have this in the form of the iPhone upgrade program, where you get a new phone. You can have a new phone every year. Essentially, you just pay whatever your monthly payment is. I don't know if that is off the top of my head, but you can every year trade it in and get a new phone. I don't know. I mean, obviously, this is all speculation. It's all rumor, and we don't know a whole lot about it yet. Or if it'll even come to pass, because once again, it's a rumor. But there's no saying of, is there a point where if you didn't upgrade your phone, you eventually pay the phone off and it was yours, or is this something that if you get an iPhone, you're locked into renting the phone and you would have to upgrade every year if you wanted to continue using the phone?
Well,
I mean, it's just a way. I mean, they've been talking about this for years. It's not the first time that this has been brought up. We all know that people are keeping their phones longer, statistically speaking, and Apple is losing money from its hardware revenue because of that, and that's why they've jumped into Apple TV Plus and Apple Fitness Plus and doing the Apple One subscription and all these subscription services, because it's a way to bring them in more money. And this is a way for them to keep getting money regularly from a hardware purchase every year if they were to do this.
Yeah, well, and there's a couple things to this too. So there's a report, and I don't know if it ever came to light, but there's an option where they can lease hardware for like MacBooks and stuff like that to businesses. Though I think it was just for businesses. So consumers couldn't do this, but you could essentially, rent or lease your hardware from Apple for businesses instead of going through and selling or buying new product every year or whatnot. You can essentially do that with there, but you don't own the hardware, and you never own the hardware. It's more like leasing the product until you don't need it anymore. And so, or renting, same thing, but companies do that too with vehicles and stuff like that. So I could definitely see Apple doing that. It reminds me kind of Sprint. So Sprint did a similar thing years ago. I think it was long time ago, but where you would actually lease your iPhone instead of buying it, or you would never own your iPhone ever. You would just lease your iPhone. It was cheaper than the option to buy your iPhone, I think, but it was essentially a little bit cheaper. I don't think it really worked out because a lot of people like to buy their iPhone out. That's what the iPhone upgrade program is. So I honestly don't put like Roy said, I don't put much in talk that they're actually going to bring this to life, and I'm assuming it's just something, that they're trying, or researching or doing studies on to see if it is. Because you're right, people are not upgrading their phone as much because they're getting so costly. When you spend $1,000 or close to $1,000 on an iPhone, you want to make it last for a while. I just traded in mine, and I think I still owed like $400 left on it. So it was a little over halfway paid off, but it, I, I see kind of where Apple may be going with it, but I could see them doing it better with actually like an Apple TV or an Apple Watch, maybe, but I'm not sure an iPhone.
I think that's the portal that will get people into the services ecosystem that they have, right? Because if it's like, I don't know, $29.99 a month or something to lease an iPhone, even if that doesn't go to the purchase price of the device, but you have like the latest iPhone, it's like getting a discount on a movie or some other kind of thing where like, well, I'm saving so much money. Why don't I try investing into some of the other apps or services that Apple or whoever on the App Store might have?
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see them trying to bundle it maybe with Apple One somehow, or something like that, but
Oh
again,
gosh.
it just is it really just is the iPhone upgrade program, and I'm not even sure they have the iPhone upgrade program anymore.
No, they don't, from what I've read.
You can't, yeah, so I don't think for new users you can do it. You have to go through the Apple Card, which essentially is the same thing. It's just you put the money on Apple Card instead of going through the original iPhone upgrade program was through Citizen One. Oh, I guess they do have it.
Oh, do they?
Oh, they do have it. Yeah, so you
mean,
can still do it.
That's another reason why this rumor seems more unlikely to happen than not, is because Apple has the iPhone upgrade program. If they wanted to bring a subscription service to a consumer, all they have to do really is find a way to make the iPhone upgrade program more appealing to the average person. Give them a reason aside from the fact that you could trade your iPhone in every year, and get a new iPhone.
I got it. They could offer cell phone service with your iPhone upgrade. So essentially, like they could bundle it. They could probably bundle it and see kind of where that comes out at, because I think so. Like starting, if you get the cheapest iPhone, I think it's like $35. It says starting at 35-33 a month for the iPhone upgrade program. Now I pay 49 or $50 a month. Mine comes with Apple Care. It comes with it's the larger iPhone. It's the 256. So all of that comes with that. So and then so I mean, just where you go up in price with that. But if you were to bundle it with like a $40 a month plan for unlimited data and everything else, and you get to choose your carrier, because Apple works with all the major carriers, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, those type of things. So if they were able to somehow work with carriers in linking it to the iPhone upgrade program and making it into like a subscription thing, then I could see that being a little more beneficial. But again, I think it's more or less a study going on right now than actually anything comes to life. So who knows? You maybe bundle it with your iPhone, your Apple Car. Maybe you buy an Apple Car, you get a free iPhone subscription.
I was thinking more along the lines of they bundle it, iPhone, Apple Watch, they bundle them together. You get a slight little price break by bundling them together, and you get to upgrade them every year. Because that would be appealing.
I think that sounds attractive. I'm worried that it would initially be too expensive, because I mean, if you subscribe to the iPhone and you have the means to just purchase them either through some carrier subsidy or from some trade-in or something like that, what would the iPhone subscription be that's different than the Apple upgrade program?
Because, well, I mean, I don't think that really they're going to be any different if they bring out a subscription plan that's going to replace the iPhone upgrade program, because the iPhone upgrade program is a subscription plan. The only difference is that you can choose to just keep paying your iPhone off and be done with it. Obviously, the alluring part of the iPhone upgrade program is every single year you can swap it out for the brand new model. That's the allure of the iPhone upgrade program. That's why you would want to get the iPhone upgrade program. So they're one and the same. This is their subscription program, essentially.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. The only thing I was going to say about the iPhone upgrade program is you still have to pay taxes on the device. So you truly, when you do upgrade in the fall or whenever you decide to upgrade, after your first initial year, you still have to pay taxes on the new phone. If you were leasing the phone, maybe you wouldn't have to pay the taxes on it because you don't actually own the phone. So maybe that would be more of an enticement, because then you wouldn't, you would pay for the Apple, you get the Apple Care Plus coverage, and stuff like that still. So if you dropped your phone or whatever, you just have to pay the, fee to replace the screen or whatever, which I think is like $29 or something like that. But it's like the deductible. But like, again, like that's one of the things that is hardest, because like when we upgraded, we had to pay taxes on our new phone. So if you get rid of owning the phone, then you wouldn't necessarily have to do the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a possible scenario that they're rolling into it, where you never actually own the phone, but you can upgrade at any time. And, say you want a bigger screen, you want a bigger size iPhone, you could upgrade anytime instead of just after the year.
Oh, I envision like upgrade credits or phone swap credits or something like that. Because if you could literally upgrade anytime, then you could just kind of like maybe once a month swap a phone or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and T-Mobile did something similar too. You used to, I think it was called Jump or something like that. And after 6 months of owning your phone, you could jump to a different phone. So if you had the iPhone and you wanted to jump to Android 6 months later or something like that, you just paid like a $15 fee or something like that, and you like immediately jump from one phone to another.
That's right. Jump on demand upgrades.
Yeah. So it's very similar, but I think with Jump you paid a monthly fee, I want to say, instead of the initial fee or whatever. But yeah, and then I think there was Jump Plus or something like that, where you could upgrade like anytime. You didn't have to wait the 6 months or something like that.
I think you still had to wait like 2 or 3 months or something like that.
I think there was an original. I think there was an original one that was like 6 months, and then there was a 3-month option or something like that. But it was just, and then that Jump also included insurance. So it's similar to that. I think we'll see kind of where Apple goes with this. Like I said, I think it's a study more or less. The iPhone upgrade program or purchasing on the Apple Card is honestly the way to go if you want to upgrade every year, because you get that option. Roy's, you're on the Apple Card one, right? Oh no, you're on the iPhone through Citizens One.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, you can add it to your Apple Card and you pay no interest on it, and stuff like that too. So, I would honestly be I would be more impressed, instead of an iPhone upgrade program, I would be more impressed to see a hardware for a MacBook. If I could buy a MacBook and it would be somewhat, I mean, I don't really want to pay a monthly fee to own a MacBook, but
you want a somewhat subsidized cost.
Yeah, so it might be something to consider, like with the hardware and stuff like that, because Apple computers are expensive. Tim and I were talking about the Mac Mini before the show, and it was like, I mean, they're still expensive and they're good products, but if you could rent your Mac Mini for $15 a month, like, wouldn't that be,
Well, that's the thing. It's like easier to gain you want as easy access to the Apple ecosystem as possible, essentially, so that you can start testing it out and see its value, which any kind of subscription service would get. Like, imagine if you could pre-order whatever new device that let's just say it's a phone, whatever new device is going to come out for Apple because you're on their subscription service. That would like dramatically increase how many that they could ship on like day one. In addition to all of the people that are buying the phone, you have everyone who is subscribed to the phone who's definitely going to get it no matter what. There's no confusion. They're all going to get it in their hands no matter what and start using it from day one.
What the other thing too I could see coming with this is subscription bundles. Like obviously we saw a subscription to Apple One, which includes, Apple Music, Apple TV, Apple News, all those type of things. But what if you could bundle so let's say you bought an iPhone, but then you got an Apple Watch too, and you bundled them together, and you get a subsidized cost for bundling. And the more hardware you put into it. So if you did that, you got an iPad and you got a MacBook, you bundle the price together and you get a discount of some sort. Like that could be part of the subscription as well, and then you just throw all your money. Like every Apple event I get done and I say, just take my money. Like,
if you're a college student or an entrepreneur or something like that, the bundling would be incredibly attractive.
Yeah.
If they offered us,
go ahead.
What were you going to say, Tim?
There's one case that I was thinking of, to where I don't know if it would even be possible just because of how expensive it would be for Apple. But if let's say you're working on a production, working on like maybe making a movie or something, you could rent from Apple a really expensive Mac Pro just for 1 to 2 months just to work on this production or whatever movie or a studio might be working on, and pay like $120 a month for this really powerful computer just to have. And that would be much easier on the consumer end, just because you can return the computer when you're done with it or keep using it.
Yeah, I think that's what they do. I think that's what they do with Apple Business Plan customers, because they were talking. I don't remember if it actually came to life, and I tried to look, but they were starting to, lease, like I said, lease and rent hardware, Mac hardware, to businesses, so they didn't have to end up paying it, because they pay it and then something new comes out and then they get new ones and stuff like that, and it was just so. I could definitely see that happening, something similar to that for consumers or for businesses. So,
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Imagine if they had a subscription service or a rental plan available for Macs, MacBooks, iMacs, whatever. Imagine all of the college students that would get their parents to do it, or they do it themselves, rent them a MacBook for college. Not only is that going to move a lot more Mac units, but it's going to indoctrinate a whole new generation into the Mac ecosystem. I mean, we already know that studies show that the younger you are with a phone, the more likely you are to have an iPhone. Younger kids are more likely to have an iPhone than older adults are. So you get these people who are already wanting to have iPhones, and now all of a sudden they can have a MacBook for college that's going to work well with their iPhone, and it's going to want them to get them even more tightly knit into the Apple ecosystem. Now you've just made an Apple customer for life.
And then you bundle them with Apple One and everything else, and bam! Look at that.
You get them on the Apple credit card, and they're buying all sorts of software.
Yeah. So, Tim, you just got an iPhone. Did you ever consider like doing a subscription through your carrier or through Apple?
I thought about it. I decided against it just because I don't really have an excuse. I just didn't really. I found mostly I found this iPhone that I have right here is used off of Amazon, and or refurbished, renewed from Amazon, and The reason why I decided to go with that one, because when I did I switched to iPhone video exactly a year ago now, I originally bought the phone through Amazon and used it and then returned it because Amazon has a awesome 90-day return policy. So if anything's wrong with the phone at all, nope, they don't even ask you why you're returning it. You just decide you want to return it, send them the phone back, and no questions, you get your refund right away. That's part of the reason why I decided to just buy the phone outright, then go directly through service contract. If it was a brand new phone, I probably would have decided to finance it rather than buying it outright. But in the case that I was looking at, I just decided to buy it outright. And it was also a pretty good price. It was $500 for the 128 model. So,
are you planning to really use that to upgrade into an SE or was it a Mini later this year?
No, that's his watch we were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So I'm planning on using this phone for a while. I really like the size of the phone, and
5 to 6 years at least, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be really, really bummed when Apple discontinues the Mini and does not ever produce another Mini ever to exist. Because it's such a good phone. I love it, but everyone hates it. So, but as for the watch, I'm using this Matt's old Series 1, and it's great. Except the battery life for some reason has been terrible today, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, it's like a 7-year-old watch.
So first of all, I'm sidetracking a little bit, but first of all, I don't know what it was. The battery was awful today, like bad. Normally it lasts me the entire day. Today I took it off the dock. It was about 90%. I sat down with my coffee. It was at 15.
Yeah.
It was bad. Like and then I threw it on the charger for 3 hours and it got to 50%. I took it off the charger. It was dead within probably half an hour after taking it off the charger. Don't know what happened.
Okay.
I had it charged a little bit, and then I restarted it. As soon as I took it off the charger, I restarted it. It's been maybe 3 hours. It was at 50. I'm currently at 36, which is better. So restarting fixed the issue.
I just want you to know, Tim, I wasn't going to mention this to you either, but you're about 476 points away in our competition right now, behind me. So, and I plan to do some Oculus afterwards. So, or some type of fitness. So I'm gonna max out today. So I'm just gonna let you know.
Tim, you've done nothing today.
No, I've been home all day.
He's only gained 110 points today, and I'm at 272. So I'm just saying you need to catch up.
We'll see. I've got a lot. I've got a whole list of tickets I got to complete on the production floor.
All I say is I see Zoe has closed all but one ring right now. And Tim's like not even halfway on his move ring, hasn't even filled his stand ring, and doesn't even look like you made any progress on your exercise ring.
I filled my standing ring.
Tim's out here slacking.
What are you talking about? I filled.
It doesn't show it as completed yet on my
full blue. That's a full blue circle. Oh wait a minute.
It says 11 out of 12 hours.
No, it says 100% on my watch.
Well, it hasn't updated to me yet.
Synced. It hasn't synced yet. That's all. So,
I mean, I'm not saying I'm a whole lot better. I've completed my stand. I've not quite completed my move, and I'm only 1 minute into my exercise ring.
Man, none of my friends on Fitbit roasted me for how little I moved until I switched to Apple Watch.
It's a much more competitive ecosystem. You're actually going to move now.
It is. All right. Any last final thoughts on the Apple subscription service? Matt, just think of the glory of being on one phone system, one Apple ecosystem, one phone that cares about your privacy.
That's a lot from one phone. That sounds pretty amazing.
See, look at there. You got Tim will give you a pair of AirPods.
My God, it's a Hydra. It has so many different parts there.
Why can't I hold all these pods?
And then when Tim gets his iPhone SE, you can take over the first generation Apple Watch.
It's gonna have so many owners by the time that it finally dies. It's gonna be ridiculous. All right. Want to thank everyone here for joining us live on this episode of the Gooply Cast, and a big thanks to you if you're listening to our podcast. Look for our replays on YouTube and the podcast version of our episodes on all of your favorite podcasting apps, including iHeartRadio. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, so that way you'll get notified when we go live with the show and you can join in. And also for when we share new tech-related content. I've been your host, Matt Carter. For Matt, Roy, Tim, and Joseph, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time on the Gooply Cast.
It's like Jenga.
I'll get the Mac Mini involved.
Yeah, put your Mac Mini on top. There you go.